Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Hey there, welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business. I'm here for part 2 with Natalie Lavelock. And if you missed part 1, definitely go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com or wherever you enjoy the podcast. Grab that because she really shared about her story and how she got into what she's doing now. And it was a really good foundational piece. So obviously, go ahead and you can listen to this one, but you do want to go catch that part 1 if you missed it. So welcome back, Natalie. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Absolutely. My honor.
Okay, so we were talking about you and you're able to lead with faith and really put it out there with your spirit-led entrepreneur. And let's just keep going, riffing on that and see where the Holy Spirit takes us.
Awesome. So one of the first things that I learned when I just let go of worrying about the message and trusting God in the message. My biggest fear in sharing the message was I didn't want to cause more hurt. I didn't want to push people away because they felt like that they would be judged in my presence. And so that's one of the reasons I was reluctant to it. And God was like, listen, I need you to share this message. And so maybe I shouldn't say it that way because God doesn't need us to do anything. He can do anything and everything he wants to, but he gives us the opportunities to step up and be a part of it. Yeah. So he gave me the opportunity to step up and be a part of it. And when I did that, people really began to open up at a deeper level. And I got to have conversations. And the interesting thing, I think one of the most interesting things about it was while Christians were like, oh, we love this. This is great. Da, 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 da. People started sharing their church hurt. People started sharing other belief systems. They started sharing. And anytime we experience someone who like puts up a wall, you can pretty much assume that there's been some hurt there that they're trying to protect themselves from, right?
Right.
And so it gave me the opportunity, even people who were more aggressive and about it, to ask questions that would help to bring that wall down a little bit, right? To give them compassion instead of condemnation.
Mm-hmm.
And to open the door a little bit to having a conversation about, I understand religion hurt you. Let's talk about what relationship looks like.
Oh, love it. Yes.
And so God's really opened the door and given me incredible opportunities to pour into people who, had I not even been sharing that message, I never would have known, right? That it would not have sparked something in them, good or bad, to have them bring that experience to the table so that it could become a conversation.
That's so good. So was this in when you're doing speaking events, when you're invited to other people's audiences who may not know you? Is that when that happened?
It happens anywhere and everywhere. And
Okay.
here's the mindset that I have to, or that I have currently.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, oh, you should only speak to Christian audiences, right? Your message is perfect for Christians and you should speak to Christian. Okay, I do. Here's the thing though. I'm also not afraid to get on a secular stage. I'm also not afraid to get on
Right.
other stages of other beliefs because, and this was actually something I experienced and then wanted to become. I was in a very secular audience, a room of about 300 people. The event host was not friendly to Christians whatsoever. And this is part of what I was talking about in that first segment when I said God called me to business and then I kind of ran off and left him in the dust chasing the worldly.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in this group with this very secular, very kind of hostile towards Christian environment. And I just never brought it up, because it was not a thing. I was there to learn about business, not about my faith. So anyways, I'm in this room and it's at this event. There's about 300 people in this room, and someone gets up on the stage and they walk out there, and I'm just writing notes, taking notes, all that kind of stuff. And they get up on that stage and they said, "I believe you have a God-given mission, and it can be funded and fulfilled through your business." And I went, actually, I looked up because I was like, there's going to be a slaughter on the stage. There's going to be a massacre that happens here. And I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Do I help? Do I run? What? Anyway, my point is, it was a lighthouse moment. It was a beacon. It was a light in the dark moment, right? And so I realized that if I keep the message to myself, or if I only share the message in Christian audiences, it's just light amongst light, right? I have to be willing to be that person who goes into the places where the light doesn't exist and share that message. And I may get booed off the stage, and I guarantee you there's at least one person in that audience that was praying for the message that I brought that day. And that's where we have to be willing to go. We don't go in there with this holier than thou attitude. It's not going in there like, I'm all that in a bag of chips plus the Jesus on top. It's going in with humility and wanting to share and pour into the audience, and being steadfast in the message that we're called to deliver, not pulling back from that, and being willing to shine that light into any room that we're in.
It's so good. My audience knows this. You're totally speaking my language. My latest book is Discover Your Business Destiny: Co-Creating, Stewarding, and Standing to Manifest God's Divine Plan. This one just released, but the first one, I was being more subtle, and I actually went with the business route, planning to profit. But it's all about the message that God has given on your heart and how to get it out there and monetize it. So it's like the Lord was working even in the first very secular book. I still wove in my faith and did that kind of stuff. So that just really confirms in me your story, that when someone was able to speak the truth, that God gave you this business, God gave you the treasures and the talents that you are, bringing his will to the earth with, and that you can build the kingdom through your business. That's like all of the angels are singing now. I'm so glad that impacted you, because that's what's like, what's the message? So good. Yeah, and it's funny that you talk about the being on the secular stages as well. I spoke when I first started speaking, 11, 12 timeframe. I was mostly on secular stages. Like I said, I was kind of mostly in the people who were wanting to be coaches and learning the online marketing industry, and all of that guru space and all of that stuff. So that's where I started with speaking. But lately, I don't know if this is a thing or just happens to be a moment, a season, but I've been mostly speaking to Christian audiences, and churches have been inviting me to speak, because I think that they want to get awakened. Like the business message is almost like an add-on or an aside, and I don't intend it to be. I mean, because I mean, obviously you see my stuff, so it's interesting that you're finding more. Do you think you have more secular call to those audiences? Do you think that's where God is moving you more, or does it have to happen half and half? Or
I would say right now, I probably still have more Christian stages than non-Christian stages.
yeah.
And with some of the things that God has been opening up to me recently, I think there will become more secular stages. Uh,
Mhm.
so for example, 2 weeks ago, I had a hospital reach out to me and want me to do a leadership training, like a full day leadership training retreat for their people.
So you're
So
really
how do you take
calling
this
back.
message? And
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're calling back to your corporate time and doing that. Yeah, that's so
Yep.
cool. I haven't even been attached to the corporate world for so long. I don't even know what that is anymore. I've been
I
back on
know.
the
I'm kind of
entrepreneur
like, God,
track,
what is this? What is this?
right? How can you people think this way? Even though I was one, right?
Yeah. Yes and no. I'm going to make an assumption because even when I was working that corporate job, I was always thinking, what's next? How can we do it better? How can we, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, I was actually building my first business within the hospital organization before God called me to do it outside the hospital. So I was an intrapreneur before I was ever an entrepreneur. And I'm going to guess your story was somewhat similar to that. Like there's just this drive and this skill set and this like go that's in.
Well, yeah, I was always pushing the envelope. I was, and I was always creating new things, and I was on some beta testing nationwide things that no one else wanted the project. I'm like, okay, I'll try it, you know. So I did have that, but I didn't know until I got into my own business all of the other 150 things you need to know to run a business. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. It was like a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah. Do you, I'm curious, do you find it hard to rest?
I used to, but not, I would have to say not
Not
lately.
so much anymore.
Yeah, yeah, but I used to. I was, oh my gosh, if I could work 16-hour days, I would, but I kind of limited it to 12, to like, and I was just go, 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 total workaholic, total found my identity by being the it girl. Like, if anybody can make it happen,
Oh,
it's Bralynn. I'm the ta-da, so I would work my tail off, work into the night, yeah, all of that stuff. So I'm a recovering perfectionist.
I understand that. I understand that.
What about you?
God has really been working on me for at least, well, probably close to the last year on the seasons and cycles of rest. And I'm
Mm,
like, God, I am not good at this resting business. Like I love, like you, I love to create. I love to go. I love to see things manifest that he's put in my heart and in the hearts of my clients. Like I love to see these things come to fruition. And resting just is not in the plan. And he's like, yeah, we're going to rest. We're going to rest.
yeah, yeah.
I'm the reluctant rester. How's
A
that?
reluctant rester. I love that. I might use that. What happens for me is he'll say, okay, put that down. Just put that down. Just put that down. So I put that down and I start something else. So I've always got a whole bunch of projects going. And even when I was in corporate, I was running up to 34 construction projects at one time. And my desk was totally clean at the end of the day. I mean, like I
Oh,
had it together. And so even now, like I can create content and I can create, memberships and a whole other division of the company. Oh yeah, let's do that. So if he tells me to put something down, it's hard to sit on my hands and not start to create something else. Okay,
right?
down, Lord. I'm juggling these three other things, but I did put the thing down that you said to put down.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Totally get you.
Yeah. Yeah, we were joking in the other session about the gap analysis, filling in the gaps. I'm like, oh, I could provide that for people. Absolutely. I can do that and I can do that. And that's why I've got so much stuff. If you look in my, well, I've streamlined it down a little bit more now, but in my store, I've got like all kinds of different stuff people can get and whatever. But it's not about me, it's about you. So
Well, and as you're talking about that, I'm also like hearing the spirit talking about even God created gaps. There are gaps that he created for a reason, right? It's not just, the earth isn't just one solid landmass. He created
Mhm.
mountains, he created valleys, he created oceans, he created
Right.
like he intentionally creates gaps and things. And so I think for us, the wisdom comes in. That gap is supposed to be there, leave it alone.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You
When
can
I was
fix this one, but that one's mine. You let it
right.
be, you know?
Negative space in architecture and art is very important. I mean, it defines almost like it defines the rest of the space is what is the negative space.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also it allows for other people to come along and you can co-labor and partner and have collaboration and things like that because they fill gaps where we're not supposed to be everything to everyone. And I think that we're both like, oh, I can wear that another hat and another hat and another hat and we've got 17 hats all stacked up. And I don't think the Lord intended us to be that. Even Paul said, I run the race that you have set before me. Like, oh yeah, that's my lane. I'm not supposed to be running in somebody else's lane.
Yes. Yep. Spot on. And there comes a time and an opportunity as business owners as we continue to grow where we bring on those other people and allow them to run the race. And for me, that is such a blessing to be able to provide for someone else. And
Mm-hmm.
in that provision, to have them help me with something that I am not good at. And in doing that, especially as the organization gets a little bit larger, then we get to experience the opportunity of conflict management and and
Our
competing
favorite thing.
agendas and all of those fun kinds of things, right? And so there's always a personal growth aspect to building our business. There's always a skill growth aspect to growing our business. There's just opportunity after opportunity to grow ourselves and to also see the work that God is doing in and through that
Mm-hmm.
corporately.
Yeah, and to see others in their beauty and the potential that they have. I mean, that's how I got into coaching is because I can see what how this my client can build their business and how they can monetize the message, how they can stop trading their time for dollars and actually build something that's leveraged and scalable where they can leave the legacy. And so when we can see them how God sees them, I think it's so much more powerful than no, I've got this cookie cutter system and we're going to form you into that system, you know?
Yeah, I'm just going to let there be space around that because I think we've all experienced that. We've all experienced at one point or another of being put into someone else's cookie cutter and experiencing, well, that doesn't work for me. Well, and not working for you may be a skill set gap, it may be a knowledge gap, it could be a just the way God made you. I've had clients, I love public speaking. I think public speaking is the fastest, easiest way and best and most exciting way to grow your business. And I have clients that are like,
Very,
don't put me on a stage. Don't ask me to do that.
yeah.
Right. And so when what you do is cookie cutter, you're forcing people into your way of doing and being rather than allowing them to grow and flourish in the way that God created them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like
yeah, I'm
that.
glad. I'm glad you said that. That was really good.
Yeah. So what other things what are you speaking on or teaching on, or what is a process like if you wanted to invite someone into your coaching? Let's go into a little bit more nuts and bolts so that people can really get a hold of and know if you're the person that they need to hire
For sure.
or bring
So
to.
I have two primary ways that I work with people. I work with those coaches and speakers who are knocking on the door of six figures and they want to get over that six-figure mark, create multiple six figures, and they need uh, a leverage scalable program to get them there. They also need some structures in their business to help support the delivery of that, because they can't just be the one-man show.
Right.
So that's one way. The other way is my Coach to CEO program, which right now is a one-on-one offer, and that's working with coaches who have already hit multiple six figures in their way on their way to seven figures, and they're looking to build out their teams. They're looking for you know, greater business structure, if you will, to support their expansion and their growth, because you can get to multiple six figures as a one-man show. I mean, you're definitely feeling the pressure by that point, and at some point you're going to need to start bringing on teams and making sure you have those structures so you can grow to seven figures. And so I come along and partner with them in that process, to make sure that they have what they need to continue the growth.
That's so good. Yeah, that was one of the things that I learned early on is get team members as soon as possible, even though it feels like you can't afford it. And so I'm incredibly blessed to have my team. Shout out. Thank you guys. Um, yeah, and I totally agree that if you try to do everything, even if you're good at something, does that mean that you're supposed to be doing it? Because you, I think, are like me. You're multi-talented, multi interested in things, and so we can get good at a lot of things, but if it's not what we're supposed to be doing it, and that's another reason why we really need to stay spirit-centered and or spirit-led, as you say, to go with Holy Spirit. Even in the moment, even as I'm working on something, I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my time right now? Is this my most important thing?
Yes.
Does this feel urgent for a wrong reason? Is my priority not correct, even in this moment? And I have to do that. It's a multiple times during the day thing, because I get squirrel, I get distracted as well. We all do. And do we have the discipline to let our soul just shiny object, just let it go? That's
Yeah.
okay. And just focus on what the Lord has us do, because sometimes we get off into the weeds, don't we?
We do. There's a book I'm reading right now, um, called Pause in My Presence.
Love it. I think I've heard of that one. I haven't seen the
Yeah.
cover though. That's dramatic cover.
It is so good. And it's looking for those opportunities to Selah in the middle of the day, in whatever you're doing. Like, where is that moment to pause in the presence of God?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm about a third of the way through it. I'll let you know how it wraps up, but it's really
Yeah.
good.
And I believe you're probably like me as in this too, is that you're reading multiple books at the same time.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
I know. I laugh because I've got books I'm reading in the bedroom, and then I've got books I'm reading in the living room, and then I've got books I'm reading here in the studio. So I'm like, okay.
And then there's your airplane books.
That's a totally different book. I don't know what it is about traveling, but I can't take any of the books that I've already started. I gotta get a different one.
And then, oh my gosh, Bralynn, I love paper books. I
Me
am
too.
terrible. I'm terrible. Like, I write in them, I highlight them, I take notes, I do all the things.
I
But
do too.
I also discovered Audible.
Oh yeah. I take Audible out in the woods when I walk.
Yes.
I'm communing with nature as I'm learning to listening to it.
Yes. I'm like, oh, that's a great way to get in another book on my 5 minute drive to town, or
Yeah,
as we're
yeah.
walking out in nature. Like, we don't have to just waste this time. And
I know.
sometimes I think God's saying,
Pause. You're
pause
right.
the input and just listen for my voice.
You're right. You're right.
Have we
Yep.
talked today? No, really. Have we really had a conversation today?
Yeah. Like not a one-sided one.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because we're teachers, we love to learn. And I think that a lot of people get stuck in just overloading themselves with information. And it's really the implementation that where the rubber meets the road. That was kind of always my saying, even from back in the day, even in my first book, is transformation comes from implementation. Because if we're not actually walking out, even if it's a Bible verse, and we just zoom through reading a chapter or whatever, rather than soaking and meditating on the word, like really getting it into you, and how does this pertain to me in my life, and what do I need to change to fully embody this word and slow down. I think we're just that's a tactic of the enemy, right? Keep us distracted, keep us go, keep us in bullet points and bite size and TikTok. And I can't even get on there. I don't even know if I've lasted 90 seconds because it's like, too much. I got it. So
Uh-huh. Yeah. Savor the slow.
yeah.
Savor the slow.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, Natalie, this has been such a blessing to get to know you a little bit better in front of God and everybody. So
Likewise. Likewise.
to learn your story and to learn everything that you're doing now. So once again, she has a Coach to CEO guidebook. Make sure I say that right. And the link to go grab that guidebook will be in the show notes wherever you're listening to the podcast, or in the show notes on the emails that are sent out. So that's there. And then you can also contact her at natalielavelock.com, and that link will also be in the show notes. Is there anything else? I'm going to give you the last word before we land this plane.
Oh, goodness. I just really believe that we're in a season where God is calling his people to step up, to step out in faith, in a greater measure of faith, so that they can be a lifeline for all those who don't know him, who haven't experienced him, who have been hurt by religion. And so I guess I would just leave it as my encouragement to you to step up and to be that lifeline for people who really need truth in their life.
So good. All right. On that note, until next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.